I was telling my CO, he was like, anybody got a joke? Nobody's piping up. I said, well, I don't know about a joke, but I got a story, and I'm not sure if it's appropriate, sir. He's like, that's all right. Let me hear it anyway. I'm like, all right. Of course, this is in our morning khaki meeting. And I said, well, on my last submarine, we were, I had to do a rectal exam on my CO. And, oh, it looks like we might be live. Looks like it's so fucking, it's so slow. Anyway, so I told him, I said, yeah. I said I had to do a rectal exam on my CO, and he kept avoiding me, and I finally had him, underway, captive audience, and I go up to the stateroom, and he's like, all right, doc, you got me. Where do you want me to put my pants? I said, all right, sir, just put them on the chair over there next to mine.
Jesus, man. That's hilarious.
It's better than the one I did on my XO. He's like, Jesus Christ, doc, is that your ring? He said, no. I said, no, sir, it's my watch.
Oh, jeez. That would hurt.
Didn't hurt me a bit.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Stinky finger. That's it.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like we have absolutely one. Oh, we have one person watching now. So let me
Hi, one
apologize.
person.
Yeah, hi, one person. Hello. We would like to apologize to you for the technical difficulties that we are experiencing here, and they are very, very frustrating. I promise you, not just for you, but for me. But that's all right. We're gonna hash this out anyway. Why don't we just go ahead and let's just start from the beginning. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you a very good friend of mine by the name of Rob Hunter. Rob is a Master Chief in the United States Navy, Master Chef. Not on what's that game, Halo? Yeah, not on Halo. Although he is a pretty bad mofo. But Rob, you've got 25 years in the Navy. Is that correct?
Almost. I'll have 25 in September if I make it that far.
Yeah, you'll make it. Is your page two updated?
It
All
is.
right, little Navy humor there, but that's cool. So page two, for those of you who don't know, is a record of emergency data. So if Rob kicks the bucket, then his wife and children get a lot of money. But anyway, Rob suffers from a condition called complex regional pain syndrome, also known as CRPS, and it's a not very well known condition. And unfortunately, this condition has led to Rob having, was it your right leg or your left leg?
Right lower leg.
Right lower leg, so below the knee amputation. Um, but I'd like to turn it over to Rob, and I'd like to him to kind of take us through his journey. This started what, about 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
And June of 2016. So, yeah.
Okay, so right before we got to Japan. No,
No,
no.
after.
Yeah, after we got to Japan,
Yeah.
you were underway, correct?
Right. We were in the Philippines.
And you broke your foot.
Yeah, I severely shattered it. Didn't know it until we got back off deployment.
How the hell did you do that?
I fell down a ladder, but I didn't fall very far. So I didn't think I really did any damage and got my foot caught between two rungs on the way down.
Uh huh.
And on a ship, you know how it is. You have to keep your hands on the rails. I didn't have my hands on the rails. It was raining. The deck or the ladder was slick, and uh, I just went down. So then we got back off deployment, and they did an MRI, and that's when they found all the bones had coalesced together, like joined,
Uh huh.
and then the orthopedic lead sent me to see the podiatrist, and I did a bunch of scans and what have you and tests before I met him. And then the doctor, Dr. Jeremy Hersick, he got cherry plucked by the Navy to come in and become a really good podiatrist for us in the military.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually know him, and he really is a good dude. Rob, real quick, I'm going to send you a text. This is the link that you can put out to your friends here. Unfortunately, like I said, we've had some technical difficulties, but if you can send that to them real quick, that'd be great in between all this crap that we're going through right now. But anyway,
Okay, bud.
so so yeah, so you had a pretty tough run because at that point they didn't know it was CRPS.
Right. I hadn't had my first surgery yet. And then in September of 2016 is when I had my first subtalar talus coalition. And we did the bare minimum so I could just get back to sea where I belong. And that didn't work. It didn't fuse. And then I started getting a lot of crazy pain in my mid shin down all the way into my ankle and my toes. I'd have nights where I couldn't sleep longer than 2 hours. And then when I went to see the podiatrist, he almost knew it instantly what it was, which was the CRPS you talked about. And he sent me to get a lot of testing done. And when it all came back, he's like, you probably have this disease. And the first day he told me about it, I went and actually looked everything up when I got home, and it scared the living shit out of me, to be honest. Because if it spreads through your body, I can do what I did. I have friends who I didn't know had it until I started talking about it on the internet. And one of my friends, Jenny McCollum, she has it in her face and in her brain. I cannot imagine that. So, they give me a bunch of medicines, and then I start taking these medicines, and I start feeling weird, and I don't really like doing the opioid stuff, so I was refusing the opioids. And I was taking Lyrica and gabapentin, and those are highly recommended for those with nerve type pain like I was having.
Right.
Basically, my signals were mixed up, and I needed something to re-interrupt it and get it to fire like I actually had.
Uh-oh. I think I lost you.
You did?
Yeah. So you finally got something to get it to fire like you actually had, and that's where I lost you.
So I had I'm sorry, my friends are sending me texts saying, "Hey, where are you guys at?"
All right, let me. No worries. Did I get you that link? All right.
I did, but I logged off Facebook.
No big deal. Hey, you know what? I want to. I'm gonna do something a little bit different. Something I've never done before. I just put
Uh,
my phone number out there. So if somebody
uh,
wants to call in with some questions, then we can. We'll put them on and we'll talk to them that way. How about that?
that sounds awesome.
All right. So if you're listening and the stream isn't as crappy as it has been, which it still is, of course, my number is 757-232-3948.
And
Again,
for my dumb friends, make sure you put a 1 in front of the 757.
unless you're calling from a cell phone.
Yeah.
For your dumb friends. But I don't know anybody that's not going to call in from a landline anymore. Shit.
Yeah.
But I guess there's some. I don't know. Um, but apparently we have one watching now, which is great.
Probably my mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. How are you? All right. I'm going to share this link here, and I'm going to put it on my Facebook page, and then I'm going to tag you in it.
You got it, good buddy.
So hopefully, it's still. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm very upset with this whole process, but that's okay. Anyway, so please continue.
So I was taking that gabapentin and the Lyrica, and I got, for lack of a better term, I got suicidal to the point to where a bunch of my friends had to step in, and they essentially saved my life. And I owe a debt of gratitude to those guys
Mm-hmm.
and girls, fellow chiefs in the Navy that were looking out for me. Um, Chad, Doug, all the guys on Seventh Fleet staff that saw it. I thank them from the bottom of my heart for that. And I literally flushed the pills down the toilet that night that they stepped in, because I was getting great support from my command. My chief of staff, Captain Griffin, he's like, hey, whatever you need, kind of thing.
Right.
And it just started going downhill south really fast. And I got referred to Tripler Army Medical Center in Hawaii and started seeing the doctors there. They would medevac me. The first medevac was in April of 17, and I got ketamine injections. And it helped tamp the pain down, but it only worked for me anyway. It only worked for maybe a week, and then it would be right back to business as usual. Miserable pain, flaring, can't put ice on it. The temperature in my leg was a different temperature than the rest of my body. It was really weird. And I started to encounter doctors who had no idea what CRPS was,
Right.
which kind of scared me. And then with my ankle still not fusing, they said, well, we need to do another surgery. We're going to take that screw out that's in there, and then we're going to place 2 screws in there. And that's what we did in November of 2017. Mm-hmm. So we left Tokyo and went back to Hawaii again. And me and my wife, this time, it was me and my wife. And I don't remember. I remember getting on the bus to go to Narita. Uh-huh. And then my next visible memory is seeing the kids in the flat when we got back to Yokosuka. Wow. What happened to me during surgery in Tripler was
hold on. Let's back up a little bit first.
Okay.
Let's back up a little bit. So after the first, I don't know if it's the first or second surgery that you had in Japan, you also had another scare.
Another scare?
Yeah, remember with the whole eye thing? Or do you not remember that at all?
Oh no, that was so they were worried that my optic nerves were closing too fast or opening too fast. I can't remember which one it was, but I have open angle glaucoma, and it rapidly deteriorated right around when I got the diagnosis for CRPS. Thanks for mentioning that. I almost forgot about that. Yeah. And yeah, that's a struggle too, man. So
yeah, that was pretty scary. It's lucky you had a really damn good nurse that caught on to that and made sure you got over to optometry.
My nurse is sitting in with 2 awesome flags behind him interviewing me right now. So I thank you, my good friend.
Yeah. No, I did not give him a sponge bath.
Yeah, you did.
Although
with
he
your
asked
tongue.
for it like every 10 minutes. Can you go a little bit lower?
You missed a spot.
Well, that's because I couldn't see it.
Oh, there's truth in that.
So, I did forget to mention for those that first time listening, this is Nothing's Off the Table, the podcast where nothing is too taboo to discuss. So we have a tendency to get pretty inappropriate at times, but that's okay. So you didn't remember any of the procedures. You don't remember being on the bus and you got back and you were in the apartment when you got back, and then go from there.
So that whole thing was really, I could tell it worked Marina's mental status a little bit, but
sure.
she's a strong chick. I'm lucky to be married to her. We got 2 great kids. I get back, and I had a rough go for. Well, I'm still having a rough go with my memory, but I mean, I'd have friends come up to me, and I've known them for years, and I had no clue who they were. I still experience that now sometimes.
You are severely underplaying what's going on right now. So you had a complete and total loss of memory. So I want folks to understand that because it wasn't that you just couldn't, having trouble remembering certain things. You couldn't remember. You didn't even recognize Mo when you woke up
That's right.
or your kids.
That's right.
So I want you to kind of talk to the listeners about how scary that was.
So the I had a really good friend stop by. Uh, his name is Matt Grace, and it was nice to see him. Apparently, allegedly, uh, but Matt's been in my corner for eons. We go way back.
Uh-huh.
We're rescue swimmers together.
Hmm.
And Marina said that when I when I woke up and didn't know who the current president was at the time, I reverted to Bill Clinton,
Wow.
which I was like, oh, okay.
Holy
And then when they
smokes.
brought me Marina in, I was like, who's this chick? And Marina's like, hey, stop screwing around, man. Like they're really worried about you, kind of thing. And yeah, I had to relive things in the course of a month over again that I didn't know because I kept asking to call my grandmother,
Hmm.
and my grandmother passed away in 2004,
Wow.
and Marina said I basically lived that death all over again.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, and then 9/11, the nurses showed me a video that broke my heart.
Hmm.
I mean, I wanted to jump out of my hospital bed and just get to work,
Sure.
but it's just like, Marina's telling me the stories, or I have a journal that I've kept every day since I've been in the Navy,
Hmm.
including the hospital stay. And I read stuff in there. I'm like drawing pictures of computers, um, dogs, writing down stuff that uh, I don't I don't really remember ever happening. Um, I had great doctors at AAA. They took really, really excellent care of me.
Sure.
And I mean, it's still hard to deal with, but I'm getting better at dealing with that part
Hmm.
of
So
this whole trip. So
so clearly, your memory has come back somewhat. Um,
right,
you now know. Of course, now you remember your wife and you remember your kids, and unfortunately for you, you remember me. Um, but how much of your memory would you say you have back now?
I'd say I'm at about 80%,
Wow, holy smokes, man! So
and they don't know that I'll ever recover all of it now.
do you get flashes sometimes, flashbacks? You're like, what was that?
I do actually.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So it's kind of like a bad acid trip.
I wouldn't know about that.
Yeah. From movies and books and things that you've
Yeah, I
read.
saw it in. Damn, I can't think of a movie.
Hmm. That
Yeah,
one
I can't
movie,
think. I can't think of a movie.
it was
No, man, I can't think of a movie.
that's because you can't remember. Oh, did I just go there?
I like it. I like it.
I told you I'm a captain inappropriate. It's my job. It's what I do. Um, anyway, so
It's still hard to deal with, but I'm getting better at dealing with that part of
so
this whole trip. So
so clearly your memory. Sorry about that. That's my fault. That's my fault. More technical difficulties. Um, so how did your? I know how your wife took it, but how did your kids take that?
they were a little confused at first,
Sure.
and I sat them both down one by one and tried to explain what had just happened to me. And it's frustrating, man, because I wasn't around so much, and to actually be involved in their lives again and uh, to have that happen and trying to talk to them about it was they were troopers about it. They were like, "Oh, so your brain's a little scrambled," and I
Sure.
think Kala more so. I think she fully understood, And Robert he understood because he's a smart kid, but he broke my heart.
Right, and I'm 100% certain that it was hard on him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
God, I can't even imagine. You know, this sounds like a good time to interject and say once again, if you want to call in and ask specific questions to Rob, the number is 757-232-3948. Please call in, and even if you want to say, hey Rob, I'm happy for you, or Jesus, you're probably one of the ugliest guys I've ever seen in my life, or
True story.
or if you want to say, hey, the dipshit hosting this should never do this ever again, that's cool too. But yeah, 757-232-3948. And you're live. No, I'm just kidding. But
Oh, good.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
So my short term memory looks like is what's most affected by it. That's why sometimes I try to repeat myself,
uh-huh.
I guess now. So
Mhm.
I didn't know I was doing that until the psychologist told me that.
Huh.
Uh,
Interesting. So, moving forward, you had the surgery, and then Doc Hersick told you that
you need a
probably
higher level of care.
okay. So you went to Tripler, and what happened in Tripler? You woke up, didn't remember anything, came back to Japan, and then from Japan they said,
From Japan, they said we have to transfer you to one of three places: Balboa, Walter Reed, or Portsmouth Naval Hospital in Portsmouth, Virginia.
mm-hmm,
And we chose Portsmouth.
"You dumb son." I mean, that's great.
I actually love Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia's nice. Um, but moving right along, so you got to Virginia, and you started follow on care, and they put you in a unit which told you you needed to go to sea.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I'm assigned to Float Training Group Norfolk, who's been nothing but spectacular, and you know, I can't say enough about what they've done for me. And there's a chief there. Her name's Jen, and she's been the most helpful person I've ever had the pleasure of working with in my.
Cool.
Yeah, she helped me. So I get to Portsmouth, and they start running me through all the same tests that I ran for the last year and a half. And I understood it. They had the baselines, but they wanted to get their own readings.
Sure. But that
And
wasn't
then
helping your mental state at all either, though.
no, I was in a bad spot for a little while there because I mean with CRPS you can't, like, I wasn't able to even flex my foot anymore.
Hmm.
I wasn't able to manipulate it to where it could roll distal or interior.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it just got to the point I was like, Jesus, man, what do I got to do to like move this thing?
Mm.
And they were trying this stuff on me in physical therapy. It's called desensitization training.
Mm-hmm.
They try to trick the nerves into figuring out what pain actually feels like and all that stuff. And that was pretty brutal. I threw up several times thinking that this was going to cure me. And then finally they were like, we got to discharge you. We're not going to put you through this every time you come here.
Right.
And the doctor that was there was like, I've never done this to a patient before, but this is in your best interest and for safety. And I was like, okay, okay. And, I got the best orthopedic team down there in Portsmouth.
Uh-huh.
Dr. Douglas has been nothing but outstanding since I've been seeing him. I mean, I've been seeing this guy for since June of last year, and I probably saw him twice a week, every week from June until I came here to Walter Reed.
Hmm. So when did they present you with the option, your treatment plans? The
Right. So, I'd done my homework. I looked up a lot of treatments for CRPS, and nothing seemed concrete. Nothing still seems concrete, actually.
uh-huh.
Um, and Marina went with me to one of my orthopedic appointments, and Dr. Douglas at that appointment was saying that that's the day he put amputation on the realm of the possibility.
Uh-huh.
And M took it pretty hard. I
I'm
mean,
sure.
there's a picture of me when the doctor tells me that I have, and I keep that picture because I want to get from A to Z, right? And that's A right there.
Right.
Well, I mean,
Well,
when I got to Portsmouth.
sure.
But, and he's like, well, we're going to send you to Walter Reed to get a second opinion. So I come up to Walter Reed because I was still on the fence.
Hmm.
I wasn't totally, I mean, I was telling them, yeah, man, I want to do this. But I mean, I'm removing a piece of my body to get rid of something so I can go back to running, so I can go back to swimming. And then when I came up to Reed, it was the most awesome experience, minus the driving.
Yeah,
I'll talk
man.
about that later. Um, I get up here and I have an amazing case manager. Her name's Dixie Johnson. Uh, they set me up for my ortho appointment. I showed up like 3 hours early or 2 hours early, and
Hmm.
they still got me in there. I met with Dr. Potter of the orthopedic staff here at Reed, and he brought in a commander with him, Commander Meehan. He's now one of my mentors. And they're talking to me about it, and they're like, "You're a perfect candidate for this." And I was like, "Oh, I was prepared to battle with these guys to get them to do this at this point because I had gone through so much. I put my family through so much. I've taxed my friends, and to talk to them and to get them to understand. And I didn't even have to do that. The commander that was there is a below the knee amputee, just like me, for the exact same reason.
Really?
And he walked in there. I didn't know he had an amputation until he pulled his pant leg up.
Huh.
And I was like, oh wow, look at
Well, I'm glad he pulled his pant leg up and not his pants down.
that. He's a pretty good dude, man. You'd like him. He's a fun time, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I like him.
that's cool. It'd be great. Maybe someday we get him on the show with us too.
Oh man, he's a riot. He loves enlisted too. So
So I threw that on the table, and I know that's not a decision that you made lightly or quickly. Um,
uh,
how long did you stew on that?
um, about a month and a half.
Mm,
And we had already made the follow-on appointment for me to go see Dr. Douglas when I got back from Reed.
uh-huh.
So I had to wait 3 agonizing days to tell him I wanted to do it. And I must have changed my mind probably a million times. And I haven't told anybody this part. I changed my mind so much. It was like, I'm not doing this. I'm doing this. I'm not doing this. And
Mm-hmm.
what's strange is I have friends who are sort of questioning my decision.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because they didn't fully understand what I was going through because I kept a lot of it to myself.
Sure.
Because I don't want to be a burden on nobody.
Well,
And
I'm glad you said that because you're not a burden. Number one, your true friends, you're not a burden to. Number one.
right,
Number two, you can't get through this alone, man. You've got to have your support network, and
right,
I think that's important for anyone listening that's suffering through CRPS, depression, any kind of physical or mental issues that's going on in their lives. You can't do it alone, and there's no shame in reaching out and asking for help. Sometimes you
uh,
got to swallow that pride a little bit.
I swallowed it a lot in 3 years. That's for sure, buddy.
That ain't all you swallow, pal.
No, Jesus. Good one. I like that. I mean, I don't like it, but anyway,
Too late.
that's crazy.
Um,
Crazy talk.
hey, I got to tell you, dude, it is so good to see you laughing and smiling
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Because I've been worried for you and about you for a long time.
Yeah, I've had friends, offer to come fly to just be with me for a couple days, and
Uh-huh.
it's meant the world to me.
Yeah.
So,
So you finally, obviously, came to the decision that the leg had to go.
right.
So
So
talk.
we picked the date, and well, we didn't really pick a date. They told me what the date was, and we had to sit through a couple of months of hand wringing and testing, and um, getting my calcium levels up and learning as much as I could about being an amputee, going to clinics to have them teach me how to something as simple as washing my own body. I didn't think about that.
Right.
Um, I didn't think about a lot of stuff. I didn't think about will the wheelchair that my father-in-law so graciously bought for me fit through my bathroom door.
Hmm.
That kind of stuff. So I had to play around with the wheelchair to figure out how to use the dang thing. It looks easy enough, but I'll get into that later. But
Yeah.
it's
Well,
kind of complicated.
well, yeah, because you're still living in military housing, which isn't necessarily designed for handicapped individuals.
Right. And talking to Lincoln Military Housing, they were going to bend over backwards to move us to a ADA compliant home, but the lady didn't get back to me till like a week before surgery, and I was like, I'm not moving my house right after Thanksgiving, right before my surgery. I just can't. I couldn't do that to Marina,
Right.
so and the kids.
Right. Of
So,
course. And what a huge pain in the ass that is, anyway.
oh my God, yeah.
So, where did you have the surgery done at Walter Reed? Then I'm assuming.
No, I actually had it done in Portsmouth because I
Portsmouth.
trusted the doctor,
Okay.
Dr. Douglas.
Dr. Douglas. What's up?
Good dude, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Dr. Douglas. What's up? But all right. So then you had the surgery done, and I know you had a lot of trepidation, not only because of losing part of your body, but just knowing the experience that you had the last time that you had anesthesia.
Oh yeah, dude, I was petrified, man. And you, you see me in surgery, like I'm usually joking around and kidding, and I wasn't like that, man. I was all business,
Yeah.
and I was extremely scared I was gonna die.
So you and I have never talked about this before, but since we're laying it all out on the table, are you a spiritual individual? I'll take the freezing to mean no.
No,
No, not at all. Not even after all this happened.
uh, and it's Psalm. It's like a book of Psalms, and it's cherry picked like some of the ones that are related to military service and honor and courage and doing the right thing when you're under fire and doing the right thing every day, really. And yeah, I can honestly say that I've been turned on to meditation
Uh-huh.
and to reading a good book. And I did find myself reading the good book a couple times more than I had ever opened it in good. I mean, who knows how long.
Mhm.
And it really helped me. So
So I want to take a step back, and we can come back to leading up. So right now we've led right up to the surgery, but I want to take a step back because um, you are an accident-prone motherfucker.
oh Jesus, yes.
So you actually went to Buds um, back in the day, and what happened in Buds? But Buds is basic underwater demolition school or SEAL school for those that don't know.
I partially fractured my C6, C7, and I had to have a foraminotomy done.
And how did that happen?
I got injured on the O course like a dummy, so like a dumbass.
So you obviously recovered from that, and then have you had a few other incidents? But Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah, I've had multiple epigastric hernias that I had to have repaired. I have Barrett's esophagus, something and whatever. I
Esophagitis.
don't even know what the hell that is.
Yeah, well,
I'm not supposed to eat all that good Korean food based on that,
that's
but
right.
I eat it anyway.
Well, that's a precursor to esophageal cancer, and it's usually from, GERD or gastroesophagitis,
Yeah, I got that
esophageal
too.
reflux disease, disorder, whatever you want to call it, but reflux, basically. So yeah, you're a freaking hot mess, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had the heart issue when I was in Hawaii, which scared me.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. Jesus.
And my lower circumflex is still blocked to 70%.
Holy shit, man.
They said, when it gets to 90, we might do something about it. I'm like, what?
Golly. All right. So I just wanted to. The reason I brought that up is I wanted folks to realize that, man, you have definitely had your trials and tribulations coming up through life.
Oh, yeah.
A
Yep.
hard career. Um, and through it all, you've managed to make it to the top enlisted rank in the Navy.
True story, my friend.
So, I mean, that's a testament to your character alone. It's not a testament to your looks, but definitely to your character.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, well, here
I'm
for you.
both.
Yeah, here for you. So anyway, sorry about that. All right, so let's bring it on up to now. You're about ready to have the amputation.
Right. So I barely slept a couple days before the amputation. I was so worried that I was I was checking out. I went so far as, and I've never done this in my 20 some odd years in the Navy. I've never done a will. And when I went to base legal to do the will, it was extremely emotional. And I only did it because, you got to take care of your family if something bad
Oh,
happens.
of course.
And then we go in. I didn't get admitted the night before. They changed the plan a couple of times. And then the next day we went in, and I remember being in the anesthesia prep area right before
Froze on me again.
they gave me a couple of hits of something. And I mean, I was feeling pretty good. They were
Toking it
explaining
up.
the plan to me. Um, we'd already discussed the plan like 18 times,
Right.
but they were doing their due diligence. They were making marks on my leg, and I kissed Marina, and then went into surgery. They did an epidural on me with a couple of blocks, and then they had a wound vac. That would hurt like hell.
I bet it did.
I wish it was your penis. It would have only been small.
Well, I'm not allowed to have it. It's in Connie's purse.
Oh, Jesus.
But so we've got three people watching right now, apparently, and they're not watching a whole lot of anything because the stream sucks, and I'm pretty upset about that. But anyway, um, so you woke up. How much pain were you in? I know you weren't in a lot of pain immediately after because you still had the block.
Yep.
Yeah, but after the
So,
block started to wear off.
so after the block started to wear off, I had um, really weird phantom pains,
Mm.
and they had me on a bunch of IVs. I mean, they were sticking out of me, and the pain train would come, but the nurses were really proactive in making sure that I wasn't in pain before I asked for my medicine.
That's good.
So they were warned that I was a hardhead, and they would just bring me the medicine and make me take it.
That's good. And who warned them about that, Marina?
Marina, my Dr. Douglas, the pain management clinic, because they were treating me and they were like, your pain levels are really high. We know this. And you're sweating. You're all red. Um, you need to calm it down, man. And okay. So there's this doctor in internal medicine. His name's Dr. Cole. He comes rolling in there with a those 3D, not 3D goggles, but the goggles that the kids wear where they put a
The virtual reality.
goggles. Yeah, virtual reality.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got me playing a game, and it all of a sudden my phantom pain just went away.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was weird, man. It was the weirdest damn thing ever. I was having nightmares, waking up. all the time. And then Marina brought because this was right before Christmas, and my goal was to be out by December 24th. I went in on the 18th, and I was like, "Yeah, we can get out of here by the 24th." Because I all I had to do is pee on my own and poo on my own, and I'm good at those. And yeah, man. And then they Marina brought the kids in with her parents, and this was the first time the kids got to see me.
Man.
And
That probably did not go over very well.
well, Robert walks by and just does like a what I get now. He does a triple take and walks to the other side of my bed. I'll probably never forget this, even though I was so doped up.
Mm-hmm.
Calla rolls in, looks right at it, starts bawling, sits in the chair that's right by the door.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know what to do, man. I was. I mean, it broke my heart.
Sure.
So, but I knew it was the best path forward. So,
Yeah, it's tough. There's no doubt about it. It's especially never being through anything like that before in your life. What do you do? You know.
yeah, it was just extremely emotional. So, and Robert's not a hugger, and he came over and hugged me, and
It's all right, brother.
it was just it wasn't. I mean, I don't even know what to say because they brought me all kinds.
Of course you. Of course you broke up there. Why wouldn't you have?
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't know. They've been troopers ever since that day.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pretty strong kids.
Well, they're great kids.
Yeah.
I know that firsthand.
Thanks, man.
It's probably all because of Marina.
It absolutely is, actually. Marina's a Marina's an outstanding mother and a wonderful wife. I got really lucky.
There's no doubt. I mean, I'm not letting you off that easy, dude. No matter what you think, it just ain't happening, pal.
Oh yeah.
But
So I stay in the hospital till the 24th, and it was great to be home. But the level of pain I was in was I was controlling it with the opioids, and everything was going good. And then on January the 10th, I went to go pick Calla up from softball practice, and I was driving home, and she was like, "Dad, are you okay? Your face is like really red." And I was like, I'm not feeling so good. I just think I might have a cold or something. And then I get to a light, and I start seeing black dots, and I was like, uh-oh. Calla's like, what? And I'm like, I think I'm about to pass out.
holy shit.
And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you might have to drive the rest of the way home. And she's not even well, she's 16, but she doesn't have her license yet.
Uh-huh.
And I get home, and I take my sweater off, and the kids are helping me, and Calla takes my temperature, and it was 105.3.
Holy smokes. So obviously you had some complications from the damn surgery.
Right. I went septic.
God, dog, man. When you gonna
Calla
catch a
calls
break?
911. Calla calls 911, and the EMS team shows up, and my blood pressure was like super low, man. It scared the shit out of me when I saw the numbers, and they kept retaking it like every 30 seconds.
Uh-huh. Do you remember what it was?
Um, no, it was. I got it written down in my book at home.
That's
It's for some reason 40/20 is what I remember.
Holy shit, dude.
But I was having blood pressure problems in the hospital when I was after my surgery too. It was really low,
Uh-huh.
and I was having OSAT issues too. The oxygen saturation numbers were in the 80s.
Wow.
and they were telling me to take deep breaths, and they take me to an emergency room for Virginia Beach.
Uh-huh.
And I asked them, I was like, "Hey, can't you just take me straight to Portsmouth?" And they were like, "Well, we got to take you to this hospital. It's who we're assigned to."
Right.
I was like, "Roger that." So they take me there, and nobody knew what CRPS was. Nobody knew. I mean, I was like, "Where did they send me, man? Like, am I in a third world country? Like, this hospital sucks." And they said they kept trying to call Portsmouth Orthopedics, the on call,
Uh-huh.
and they were on the verge of taking me in emergency surgery without. I was like, "No, you're not doing surgery on me."
Right.
And me and morphine, we don't work together.
Yeah.
And they gave me a couple of hits of morphine, and I was like, "I'm
Oh,
still in
Jesus.
pain. Like, that's not working." I'm not a doctor, and I didn't want to tell them what to do, but they just kept shooting me with stuff that I know doesn't work on me.
Hey, you've got a somebody just chimed in. It says Ryan McElfresh. I'm sorry if I'm messing that up. Uh,
McElfresh, yeah, he's one of my
McElfresh.
really good friends from back in the day.
He said, "Come on, Rob, you can do this," and then yes. So
I
thanks.
love that guy,
Yeah.
man.
Well, Ryan, why don't you call on in, man? 757-232-3948.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends in the world, man.
He's got to be to put up with
And
your shit. I mean,
oh, he knows that he gives it to me just as hard as I give it to him. Well, Jesus, that sounds bad. Damn it.
why do you do this to me? You make it too
Uh,
easy.
Too easy, buddy. Too easy.
Hey, what are you spitting in there? What are you spitting
Um,
into?
I'm drinking an Ensure.
Oh, for insurance. Oh, you just broke up again.
I think
Gosh.
you froze for a second.
Yeah, that's all right. That's because I was frozen over the insure. Anyway, so where do they take you? Like Virginia Beach General, or
I actually don't remember the name of the hospital. I got a bill from them though.
yeah, I bet you did.
No, it was like $250,000.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
The Navy only paid like $2,600 or something,
Are
but
you kidding me?
mm-mm.
Why?
Well, they still have to pay the Tricare has to pay like their like you're like an insurance person out in civilian land, where your insurance company talks them down to a reasonable amount, I guess.
Yeah,
But
that's crazy, dude.
yeah, man. So I was in that hospital, and then I finally, I had to put my Master Chief pants on right there because I'm like, listen to me. I'm like, when was the last time you guys called uh, Portsmouth and had to transfer a patient? And they were like, what? And I'm like, do you have the right number? Is what I'm getting at. And the lady was like, well, this is the number we've always used. I'm like, you didn't answer my question though. Like, you know. So I called the quarter deck from my cell phone
Mhm.
and told them what was going on and said, yeah, we need the on-call orthopedic person to call this number as soon as possible. No shit, man. Like 45 seconds later, the on-call orthopedic guy called me,
Huh.
and I gave the phone to the nurse, and they had a bus come to the hospital and pick me up,
Mm.
and they took me to Portsmouth, and then that night I had emergency surgery for a couple weeks,
Wow.
and had to go home with a PICC line in my upper arm.
Jeez.
And they gave me an option. They were like, you can stay here and get all this done in the hospital, or you can go home. And I went sold. And then they told me about the PICC line, and I was like, what the heck is it? What? You're gonna stick a needle in my upper artery?
Uh huh.
I was like, oh, because the needle goes all the way across your chest into
Yeah.
your up here somewhere.
Yeah. Into that one place where they do that one
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I went home, and then I had awesome nurse care come to my house every single day. And well, not every single day. They came. So I had orthopedic or physical therapy coming to the house, and these nurses would come to change my wound dressing, and then they would change my upper arm stuff, my pick line. They would take my blood pressure, and then they were always warning me about my blood pressure. It was either extremely high or really low.
Wow. Well, septicemia is a real tricky thing to deal with. And dude, sounds like you got pretty lucky because a lot of people don't recover from sepsis. So,
Yeah,
man, you better go play the lottery. That's all I'm gonna say.
I did. I played it when it was like $1 billion and lost.
Well,
I'm like, man, that's a waste of $20.
you gotta play it more than once, man.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
But so you had that happen, and then when did they finally? Of course, you had to have recovery time. Did they have to go in and debride any more of it after that, or was it just that one time?
Just the one time.
Okay. And then that's after you kind of healed enough, they decided, all right, let's get you to Walter Reed and start talking about debridement and or I'm not debridement, but physical therapy and prosthetics.
Yeah, so they told me about Walter Reed, and I was like, well, we have our own physical therapist stuff down here. Why can't I just stay in Virginia Beach and do all this?
Right.
And they were like, well, you need to go up there and take a look at their program because they have they've been doing this for years. They're really good at it.
Hmm.
It's like, all right. They were like, what sold me actually was they told me I wasn't going to get my first leg for like 4 months or something.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's not optional because I'm going through the med board process.
Right. You froze again. That's cool. Um, so that I think that's a great segue into you telling us about your wheelchair story.
Oh Jesus, man. So